Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. This is Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier. Hello. And I am here on No Soundbites Allowed, getting ready for work once again. Aren't we always getting ready for work? I think we all are. But I wanted to talk with you a little bit about something that caught my attention. Just a quick thought here, and that is the DA race. Now, a lot of people may realize or know that I live in the Southern Tier of New York. And in that area, this year, there is the Broome County DA race, and it's a very active race. There are three candidates, a Libertarian, a Democrat, and a Republican. There has been a big Republican primary and split the party. Everyone's aware of that. And less known has been the Democratic candidate, a Miss Deborah Gelson, who I do expect to have an interview with, I believe, next week, Friday, which would be the 27th. And we're going to be talking with her, but I wanted to just address something really quickly, something that some people may have noticed. She's getting it beat up. And it seems it's coming from both sides, from the Republican side and Democratic side. And it's a bit unfair. Now, a lot of people may be surprised that I'm about to talk about a Democrat in a positive way. But quite honestly, the show isn't about, while I am a Republican and a conservative Republican, and I do believe in those ideals, I do the show mostly about issues that are wrong, things that are problems in our society, in our politics, that we need to correct. And yes, I do see a lot of it coming from the left, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen from the right either. And I've called out many people on the right on many issues, like Representative Richard Hanna as an example, but one of many. Looking at this today, I have to say, it's wrong when we see in our politics that politicians are being beat up on, or candidates are being beat up on, for things that aren't true. We need to have some integrity in our election cycle. And I'm seeing from Democrats and Republicans in the DA race, none of that. Now, as an example, this is from Deb Gelson's page. On October 18th, she had to come out and she had to have a press release and discuss this very issue, that there were untruths that were being put out there. Now, I'll tell you right off the bat, I had many questions about Deborah Gelson, about her record, what she's done, what she stands for. These are issues of policy and how she would enforce the DA race. Now, you may not agree with that. Some people do, some people don't. That's okay. But when she has to put out a press release talking about where she's lived and whether or not she's actually conducted law there, that's a question. Because she's come out and mentioned how there's a commercial by Republican Paul Battisti, a candidate for the DA race. And he's alleged that she's lived and moved and apparently worked in New Jersey, in Florida, in Puerto Rico, in Vermont. And she had to come out with an announcement to the media and say, that's not true. That she's lived in Ohio, as an example, when she went to college, that she's got family in Florida and she's been down there, that she's went on vacation in Puerto Rico. That's her statement. But these aren't places that she has done law. And it's not unusual for people with a law license to go out and actually get a degree and get their law license in many states. People do that all the time. In fact, it's recommended. So to beat up on Deborah Gelson for doing something that is common amongst attorneys, to do something that is just normal practice, that's kind of low, because it doesn't really attack or address her record and what does she stand for and what policies is she's going for. I mean, I have a question about why did she have so many positions, which I am in the middle of discussing with her. She's been a judge, she's been a DA, she's been a prosecutor, as she's been an attorney, and she's never been elected to an office. These were all appointments. Okay, that's political. So the public has never had a chance to speak with her or to vote for her until today. That's an issue. That's a question. Whether or not she's lived in Puerto Rico really isn't a question. And that just takes away from the real substance that should be discussed for a DA candidate. It's an attack on her person, and who cares? Let's talk about her policy. What does she do? But as bad as that is, and it is bad, that's not the only thing. Let's also look at the other side, because she's also getting attacked from plot, which is kind of odd, you would think. But it isn't really, because this is the Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, the Binghamton chapter. And of course, they're out there attacking Deborah Gelson about the Columbus Day Parade, where 4 members of plot were arrested for disturbing the peace because they were committing a crime. They like to call it a protest. It was a crime, and that's why they got arrested. And so these members of plot decided to go out, and they asked a very leading question. It's a setup. What did they do? They said, hey, Deborah Gelson, you want to be DA. Would you enforce the law against members of plot who broke the law with hundreds of witnesses, video, and police present? And her answer is, I can't speak on a case that is pending, because those members of plot are going to court on the 21st for arraignment, I believe. It's the first step. And they'll be in the court on Monday, the 21st. You know what? That's exactly what she's supposed to say. That's exactly what Mike Korchak had said, who's also running for the DA race on the Libertarian ticket, and who is the current chief assistant DA. And of course, Battisti, if he were asked and if he responded, would say the same thing, because they have to. By law, that's what they're required to say. They cannot comment on actual cases. But plot, as you can see here in their tweet and in their post on October 17th, said, oh my God, she won't answer a question about a case that is ongoing. Then she's evil. She is in favor of injustice. How dare she? And that's really, really dumb. That's a really dumb answer. And that's a political hit job. Just the same way as Paul Battisti's campaign and in trying to target where she's lived and vacationed, this is no different. Plot is out there attacking her from a Democratic side for something she can't do anything about. You know what? Deborah Gelson, it may or may not be a good candidate. You may or may not like her. Whether or not she's a Democrat, I don't care. The real question is, does she deserve to get beat up on for these kind of issues that have nothing to do with policy? No. Should we allow groups like Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow and any, whether it's Democrats, Libertarians, whatever, attacking her for issues that are not policy? I don't think so. I don't think that's integrity. And I think they both should be called out equally, because I don't believe that helps voters in any way. Misleading voters like Plot did when they said that, hey, she won't answer a question about whether or not their people who broke the law should get arrested. You know what? That's not the case. That's not important. You're just making up stuff because you're upset and you're trying to make a point. And I'll get into that in another video. But yeah, Deb Gelson doesn't deserve this. There are a lot of questions that should and can be asked of her, and I hope to ask them on Friday, October 27th, and talk with her about them, or 25th. I lose the date. But this isn't one of them. These aren't things that really voters should be concerned about. That's not the focus. And it's sad because it takes down the race and it misleads the public, and I disagree with that. Whether or not she's a Democrat, I don't care. We should have a fair race based on the issues and policy and where these people are trying to take us. If she wants to talk about social justice, then let's talk about social justice and whether or not this community or any community needs to have social justice. Let's talk about that, not made up stories like, well, you won't answer a question about a case that's ongoing and that therefore you must be evil. You must be intolerant. You must be in favor of injustice. That's a silly thing to say about Deborah Gelson. That isn't supported by any evidence. That's just wrong. And Plot needs to be called out. And Paul Battisti's campaign needs to be called out, as they were. Why didn't Deborah Gelson also, at the press release, talk about Plot and what they're doing? Well, maybe because they're Democrats. And that's a subject for a different story. And I'll be talking about that soon. But I just want to leave you with that. It's just a quick thought. You let me know what you think. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe you agree completely. I look forward to your comments, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Let me know what you think. And until then, I hope everyone's going to have a great Sunday, October 20th. And I'll be back again very, very soon. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.